Let me just tell you who's here. Barbara McHugh is from Major League Baseball. Little round of applause for Major League Baseball. We'll ask her later what the odds are on the Dodgers actually winning this year. So we'll just check that because we're in Vegas. Rex Briggs is one of marketing measurement's greatest inventors of all time. He founded multi-touch attribution. He created that methodology. I know I was there when it happened. He and I wrote a book about that 20 years ago. He just produced a book. You saw here we had copies here called The AI Conundrum. It literally was launched today. Today it was live. So, and he's going to do a presentation off that book tomorrow if you're interested in that. But Rex is now currently the Chief AI Officer, right, with Claritas, but he kind of stands above any company. He really is one of the best in marketing. He came to me with a methodology about 2 years ago, and because I do a lot of experiments. My job is to help find you new opportunities that you wouldn't have found on your own. And I just operate as an independent think tank in creating those new ideas. You're going to hear one of 8, 9 experiments we've done so far around this AI personalization. So Rex will explain technically what's happened, but Barbara will walk you through what she learned. So I think we should start with Barbara. Why don't you take them through the research? What did we learn? And then we'll come back and tell you more how we did it.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm not here to sell you anything either, although I would love to see any baseball fans in the room. All right. Wow. All right, I'd love to see that. Go Phillies. Well, all right, go Phillies. Oh, Rangers. All right, we've got a few. I love it. I love it.
All right. Fight's going to break out here.
We'll love it. Well, hopefully you'll get to a ballpark soon. And I think why I wanted to mention that is because that is a big part of what our campaign efforts were all about. Clicker's not working.
Next Can we advance slides there?
I'll keep talking.
Thomas, maybe
anyway, so we at Major League Baseball were thinking about, all right, you know, we're partners with MMA Global. We know of Claritas, we know of Rex, and we were like, what could this be? So to take a step back, fan growth is important to us as an industry. Hopefully all of you are constantly focusing on customer growth. And when we say fan growth, we mean 2 dimensions. How are we going to deepen engagement with an existing fan? So some of you that raised your hands in here. And how do we get net new into our ecosystem? So this was an opportunity for us to really leverage this creative test that we did, really to drive attendance for the industry. So we have over 70 million fans that go through our ballpark last year, but that's the new flat from last year. How do we increase that? So we ventured here to work with Claritas on this. And next slide, here we go. And really the test was all around AI on versus AI off, specifically with an element around display creatives. So we went out to all 30 of our clubs. We gave them a list of all the different parameters to consider. We had 17 raise their hands, which was great, just from one, initial conversation. From there, we whittled it down to about 7. We really only needed 3 or 4 to do the test, but we were excited. We had more than double of that. Some clubs even added some additional incremental budget. And it was all around how do we work with them to leverage this great AI opportunity. So you'll see here with the help of MMA Global and with Claritas, we looked at creative inputs. We worked with our clubs to identify really whatever they were doing that was from an evergreen perspective, had to identify 3 different creative types and then 4 different variations of that from a sizing perspective. And so there was a little lift up front, but honestly not too much, where Claritas then did the heavier lift for us by creating all the different JPEGs based on some layered files. And then we looked at audience groups. We identified, and I wanted to give a quick shout out. Kevin Cherko from our performance media team is here, who did really the heavy lift of this work. So he helped share with Claritas, key first party audiences that we wanted to prioritize, and then some of our core third party audiences. So that we identified those. And then from a campaign execution, it was really about how do we see the lift around AI on versus AI off. Worked with Claritas, they gave us some ad tags. Obviously, we could go deeper into all the setup if that's interesting. But really, the goal was how do we drive more ticket sales, really leveraging AI on versus AI off. And I think it is important to note this was different than standard just DCO. DCO, you're picking kind of the best one wins, and you move on with that creative. This was much more so around different variations and how do we deliver the more appropriate creative message to the right set of audiences that we're going after. Oops. So as you can see here, these are just kind of some of the key themes. As you'll see, evergreen, lots of different variations. We encourage creatives not to look so much the same. You'll see a lot of different colors here, but even within a core club style guide, if you will. How do we create variations? On the previous slide, you saw the Tampa Bay Rays. There was some yellow popping in there, et cetera. The Giants did a lot of different variations. But really, these were the themes that we focused on. And from these themes, there were multiple variations from that. Sorry, this clicker. Keep going the wrong way. So here were the 7 clubs that we did with this first test. This test was about 6 weeks. And we produced over 2,000 creatives, which, Rex, can you confirm? I think that's the largest amount of creatives that we did across all the different campaigns that you guys did. And then on average, we saw a 65% lift with AI on versus AI off. As you could see, quite a bit of a range across these 7 clubs, but regardless, double-digit growth regardless. So over 23% to 133%. And there were some interesting learnings even with the club that was 133% that we're taking now to the next round of clubs that are, we've already spun up 3 more clubs. 3 are probably going to launch the next week or 2. I did it again. This is probably one of my favorite charts that Claritas helped us with, and it's really showcasing the AI on versus AI off. On the left, it's very straight, if you will, just equal distribution of our impressions. And then on the right, you could see how vastly it changes when you're trying to deliver more of the personalized message based on all these creative variations to those different clusters of audiences. And this just, again, showcases just what I was referencing before around all the different cohorts and then all the different examples. So we tried to combine the main themes. So there's a player version, a ballpark version, but then how do you combine ballpark and player, ballpark and fan creative versions? And all of these were evergreen in nature of not like promoting a specific series or matchup necessarily, but more so evergreen to really cast a wider net of what we were trying to accomplish. And then I'll hit on this, and then I think we're going to do some Q&A. But really, from our learnings, a couple of things to keep in mind. First, we're going to continue to scale. I already referenced that we're doing that now. We want to try and test out other channels. So this was display specifically. We're interested in trying out video, audio. And then I would say from just a learning that we had behind the scenes, patience is probably a big one. Like, take the time to really be aligned. I think that was critical with our 3 parties here. If it took an extra week just to be aligned up front, like, so be it. And then have some patience in terms of, AI takes a little bit of time to let the performance happen. So be patient with, not stalking the results right away. But the results will come based on those learnings and whatnot behind the scenes.
Great, Barbara, excellent. Okay, so first off, just for everybody, did somebody want to applaud? I heard somebody, no? I was okay. That was nice. That was nice of you. So listen, just to make sure. So this was optimizing ads against ticket sales.
Correct.
So this is real money in the bank.
Correct.
Okay. Do we disclose how much money was generated from this?
I thought you weren't going to ask this question. Yeah. No.
Okay.
He always tries, though. He always tries.
He always tries. But
yeah, I know.
What I can share, it was
a lot.
It was a lot.
It was plentiful enough that we're scaling and we're doing more, and excited to see what comes next.
Great. Okay. So Rex, would you tell everybody, we'll kind of give some background now here, and be careful. Take off your intense AI researcher.
No, this
crazy.
Is the AI4. I can.
You can go so far. Go ahead. Tell them what was going on here.
It's first of all, we've been doing machine learning in digital advertising for more than 20 years, right? I've been chasing personalization for my entire career. The first time I used neural networks was in 1996. So this has been a long effort. This got me really excited. It's unsupervised learning. And so all this lift is on top of all of the other machine learning that's already happening. So to be able to get like a 65% lift in ticket sales above and beyond what we already do with machine learning, what you already do with your audience optimization and so forth. And the reason is because the way that the versions of the AI are organized is that the AI is using unsupervised learning, one-hot encoding, and k-means clustering, which basically is looking at any feature you give it, any of those creative differences you saw there. It's encoding that, and then it's just dynamically seeing which one is likely to lead to a ticket sale today. Not just today, this minute. So some of the versions were like the difference between an ad for the Braves with the ballpark during the daytime versus at nighttime. And interestingly, during a certain hour between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m., for about 10% of the population, that night ad was the best ad to deliver them. Now, if you happen to be a shift worker pulling an all-nighter and going from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., you don't want any more nighttime ads. The daylight one actually performed like 300% better than the nighttime ad. So the AI is making these nuanced decisions every single minute of the day. And that's why you saw on one of those certain days, the player ad was really important, especially if there was someone who had an injury, and that was the news cycle. And we saw that with the Rays, with Yandy Diaz. And even the timing of it shifting from the first-party data, who are hardcore fans, they engaged with that ad earlier on, and the third-party one, it was like 2 or 3 days later when the AI shifted the mix for that ad. And it might even be at the same time that maybe you're really engaged with the player, but someone else is engaged with the ballpark experience. And so it's about the fan experience in that ad. And it's dynamically making the difference down to the neighborhood level and down to what page you're on of the website you're on. And it might shift from one day to the other. We saw one where with Mother's Day, for about 20% of the population, it was about the ballpark and the fan experience. And I still ask, is it because the AI detected we want to get away from mom, or we wanted to bring mom to the ballpark? Maybe it was both.
AI doesn't decide.
But so that to me is what's truly exciting, is that what you're seeing in this chart here is the AI dynamically decisioning every second, every minute, with all the audience features it has available to it and all the message features it has available to deliver.
And one other comment on the creative real quick is, while it wasn't a core KPI.
Well, here, can I just make sure everybody, this is not generative AI, right? You got that? We're doing, I'd call it DCO on steroids. Is that fair? Yeah.
Well, not with a sports one.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, it's DCO advanced something. Right. Okay, good. Sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that either, was I?
No, not really. No, that's okay. Yeah, so as Rex and I noted, ticket sales was the main KPI. However, we thought it was interesting that from a click-through rate, we saw 2-3x lift that we normally see from our display creative campaigns. And I think a lot of that really had to do with all the different variations we had and really the popping of the different variations at, the daytime, nighttime, different colors, et cetera. So I just thought that was an interesting tidbit that our team kind of pointed out, because it's not a core KPI, but I think it proves the fact around creative, in this case, was really driving the most relevance to that particular audience.
And Barbara, to state the obvious, I mean, there's no human on your team who could make these kinds of decisions at this rate to keep up with this, to do this. I mean, just nobody's equipped. I mean, you've been around a lot of marketing departments. Nobody's equipped to do that, right?
No. And I think that the nice thing is now that we've kind of went through round one, like we have we've improved even further the operational aspects. So as we scale further, get more clubs on board, add more net new campaigns, it's only going to be that faster. But correct, like the amount of variations that are showing up, again, 2,000 is not necessarily as easy for our team to do.
Well, and it's so subtle, though. I think what gets me excited about AI, and that point that you just made about we are, as humans, are smarter than AI in many ways, but there's things that the AI is just way better at. I mean, one of the things that was fascinating with the Yandy Diaz injury is the subtlety for like first-party data. You showing the image of Yandy Diaz and the ticket sales, that definitely brought more ticket sales, but it was paired with the call to action of learn more. And when it went to the third-party fans, it was actually equally learn more or buy now. Either of them would get engagement. So the AI picking up on these subtleties of how to engage in ads in different ways, I think is just really exciting.
Now, Barbara, your boss, Karin Timpone, who she and I were speaking tomorrow morning on the main stage, and she's actually my former board chair, in fact. You guys took this to the teams. I mean, you took it you took it to the owners, actually. And
yes.
what was the response?
So back in, I think it was mid-February or so, we took it to owners/presidents, and then we quickly, usually following those meetings, we have a club marketer call. So it was great. We just back to back, we presented it. And there was definitely, like I think I mentioned before, 17 clubs that raised their hand. And then as we had individual calls with all of them, kind of gave them some requirements. So for this pilot, not necessarily for moving forward, it was, really, you'd have to turn off all your other display because we really wanted to see the true lift here. And then we had some requirements around budget for this period. It was also, can they turn around what we needed from them in terms of the creative components? Because we did want this test to run kind of in tandem together. So all 7 clubs ran for give or take a couple of days around the same period of 5 to 6 weeks.
I mean, it's an incredible uplift. I give a lot of kudos to Major League Baseball on really jumping on this thing, because I've taken this to all the board members, and I mean, you know, you're batting 300, 350, which is amazing here on this. I think we're batting somewhere around 100, and sort of getting the rest of corporate America to take this on, which is shocking to me at a whole nother level. And it kind of counters what Lou said earlier, like, do not wait, because, you know, your competition is kind of all entertainment and or sports. But, you know, if you're in a hot category and somebody else gets this before you do, you're going to get hurt. That's just the way it's going to go. I cannot express enough how important this is.
That is like, I mean, I think that's a really important.
And Rex, can I give one point? So how long have you been measuring media and marketing?
30 years.
Okay, Rex measured the first digital ad ever. If you don't know that, it was in Wired Magazine in 1997?
1996.
1996.
1997 was a big industry study we did together.
Correct. And then Rex and I created, he created multi-touch attribution, and I popularized it way back when. So, you know, we've been just on it. Have you ever seen anything like this, Rex?
No, I remember
and what's the average of all the campaigns?
So I was sitting in the Bay Area when I first saw the first digital banner and the results, and we saw that there was an effect beyond click-through. Yeah. And that became the seminal paper in a multi-billion-dollar industry, et cetera. This is, at least in my opinion, this is probably an order of magnitude, you know, 10x bigger, because the personalization and the nuance and the ability really opens up a completely different way we're going to be communicating. Right. You did digital display. We've seen this with audio. In fact, you know, Progressive, we'll talk about tomorrow, they did it with some Gen AI ads also. So you can see how those pieces will fit together. We've seen it with video as well. And we're seeing it with email. Claritas is just testing it out with email. So you can imagine that our whole communication will be mediated by basically unsupervised learning, looking at what gets us engaged. And so as businesses, we need to, number one, get our companies engaged in learning this now. Yes. And number two, you have to begin to experiment with what is your objective function. Okay. You did ticket sales for 5 of the teams, but 7. 2 of them used leads because they were selling through Ticketmaster, so we couldn't see the sale. And they actually had lower results because we couldn't have a direct signal of what ticket sales were. But if you think about it, it's probably lifetime value and the long-term engagement that you want. Right. And we have to really get smarter on how to do that.
What's the average of, we've done now 9 or 10 studies.
140% is the average 140%
overall on average. And the highest has been 259% by Kroger's. Yeah. And how many of the studies failed, by the way?
2 of them did when they tried a technology that claimed to be AI that wasn't.
Yeah. We think that was it. They also did some other funkiness, and there was not enough personalization.
There wasn't enough differentiation in the ads. There could have been some other things. Every time we do one of these, we learn more. So if anybody wants to do a side-by-side and test a few different technologies, I want to do that next, because I think that there's differences in how the tech works.
Okay, and Barbara, just to repeat, you're definitely we want to go after audio. We want to go after video.
We want to try video.
CTV
I'm curious about email, so we should talk about that.
Just so you know, this only works in open web. It doesn't work on the walled gardens. We can't do that because we don't have enough signal back. Just so we can't do it. I mean, Facebook, and they have their own solutions. I won't take anything. I'm sure, and Facebook actually revitalized. You know, they came back in a big way because they're figuring out probably things like this. So, you know, it's all around. Okay.
But in addition, I think it's getting to all 30 clubs to do this as well. So I think we're on our way, and on our way quickly, but that's the other part of the scaling.
Any advice for everybody here? Because we're going to wrap up.
Try it out. I mean, I think, as said, it's not generative AI, so there's no surprises. So if you need to crawl, walk, run, I think this is a great way to crawl, but in the same sense, run in terms of scaling your results. So do that. And like I said before, just have some patience, because, you know, immediate results, you know, aren't always immediate. So take a minute. And try it out. Looking forward to coming back and sharing what's next at a future meeting.
I think that was your results may vary. I think that's what you just said. It was a legal disclaimer here at the very end. Listen, Rex and I are doing a lunchtime table here if you want to find us. There was a marketer session today at 3:55 that we're just going to have discussions about successes and failures in online marketing. I was a part of that session last year, these breakouts that they do at 3:55, room 203. Please join us. We're looking for ideas. I'm looking for more experiments to go run. If you're a marketer who wants to participate in a consortium, please let me know. We can bring you in on this. There's a flyer up here. Or if you have an idea, if you're doing something, you'd like to have a broader group look at it, or even if you haven't done it yet and you just want to say, bring it to us. We're looking for new ideas that we can test and assess. We're doing some stuff around research. We've got about 5 different things that we're working on right now to sort of perfect it. So with that, I can't thank you enough. Please thank Rex and Barbara for joining us today. Thank you, everyone.